Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Let's have some random Friday boxing chat. I apologize. I'm starting a little bit late. I thought I set this call up for 5 o'clock Eastern, but I set it up for 4 o'clock. Did not realize that. So apologies to everybody that's been waiting for us to go live here. But we are live. So welcome, everybody. Hope you had a great week. And I hope you're ready for some chat here. We got a lot to talk about, man. There's just too much to talk about to wait for the neutral corner. So let's start here. Let me make sure I'm going to record audio. I will post this on my audio platforms as well, everybody. So if you can't watch this live video, this will be posted. I just want to make sure I got that going. Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome. And let's get some live Friday random boxing chat going here. We got a lot of information to talk about. Too much to wait for the neutral corner on Monday. By the way, the neutral corner, those of you who forgot to hit that notification bell over at the Ring Digital, make sure you do that so you know when I go live. My guest next Monday will be former middleweight champion of the world, Kelly Pavlik. He'll be joining me on the show. So make sure you're subscribed over at the Ring Digital. Make sure you click on that notification bell. And, yeah, that's going to be a fun show, man. But we got so much to talk about here. There's just a lot going on this week. I wanted to hit some of these news items. Phone lines are open, so you guys can call in whenever you want to on this chat. If you feel like calling in and talking about this stuff with me, cool. If not, we'll do it Monday on the neutral corner. Of course, we'll talk about it more on the neutral corner. But I figure it's Friday. I'm going to go ahead and crack a Peroni here. So salute to everybody out there. And I see a bunch of you guys on the chat. You guys hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. My brother's on from Long Beach. What's up? We got Joel on here. Giuseppe's on here. Captain Hook Chronicles. Or at least they were on the chat, and then they left. Again, I started like half an hour later. I'm sorry, guys. It's just been a crazy week and a crazy day. Yeah, first beer of the week. Okay. So let's start with the sad news. All right. You guys that follow me on Twitter and on Facebook and everything, you saw me post about this. But Nazim Richardson, famed trainer out of Philadelphia, passed away today. He's had health issues for a long, long time. He had a stroke in 2007, and that originally kind of kept him out of training and everything, but he recovered, as far as his motor skills go. He was a little slower getting around and stuff, but he recovered fully in that regard. But he's had illnesses and health issues for a long, long time. So he passes, and this was just sad news. Or outpouring of support all over Twitter. I see everybody's tweeting about it. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of fighters talking about it. And so we've had two deaths in the boxing world. One tragic death last week with Travell Mazon, died so young. But here, and about the last week, we've had two deaths in the sport of boxing. And I always, during those times, I appreciate and enjoy how everybody kind of puts the beefs and the partisan bullshit aside, and everybody kind of comes together, in the boxing family and gives their condolences and their thoughts. And that always shows me what our community really is truly about. I mean, at the end, we all kind of come together and we recognize that this is a brotherhood, a sisterhood. It's a boxing family, right? So anyway, thoughts with Nazim Richardson's family and the boxing family, because that's a huge loss to the boxing world. Super chat pledge from Mark at Unrivaled Boxing Talk. What's up, man? He says, I finally admit defeat at 27. I've given in and shaven my head clean. No more hairline fights and inner turmoil. Well, salute to you, Mark. I wish I could see a picture. You need to post a picture on Twitter. Post a picture of yourself with this shaved head so we could all see it and make fun of you a little bit. Because I'm imagining it's really, really white up there where you had some hair and there's a crazy, you look like that ice cream. What's the ice? I can't think of what the hell it's called, where there's different color ice cream. Anyway, yeah, look, my hairline used to be, those of you listening, you won't see this, but this little corner here used to be lower. This little corner here used to be lower, and it kind of just goes back. Every single year, it goes back a little bit more. That's why I started doing this part right here. It was actually when I got my hair cut like a month or so ago. The chick cutting the hair, she goes, this haircut would look good for you because I can shave a part right where your hairline goes back. And I was like, oh, cool. All right, so we can hide that shit. And so far, I think it's working. What you guys think of the fade? I need to get some sun on my fade though, because it's a little pale right now. But I like the shaved part, man. She literally put shaving cream right there, took a blade and cut it. So I thought that was dope. And I mean, the only problem is it fills in a week. This will be filled in. My hair grows super fast, even at 41 years old, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, this part will be gone in a week. That's the only thing when you get like a fade like this, you got to keep up on it. Every few weeks, you got to cut it. So Mark with another super chat, he says, looking very Metro, Mike. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. I don't think I look that Metro, all right? I got a little scruff on my face, all right? It's not like some guys wax their eyebrows and all this kind of stuff. Come on, man. It's not that bad. All right, everyone and their mother is talking about Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., right? So, obviously, that broke the internet yesterday. I mean, that was trending number one on my Twitter. When I update my Twitter to just see the United States trends. And that was the top on like the what's happening list on my Twitter feed. I can't tell you the last time boxing, just an announcement of a fight. It's not like this was a press conference or, a fight result, a knockout, something like that. It was just an announcement of an exhibition fight. Yeah. One of you guys in the chat says it's an exhibition fight. Exactly. It's just an exhibition fight. Yet it trended on Twitter. So let me talk about this for a second here. Look, on the surface, I would normally not like this. All right. You guys know I'm about fighter safety. I don't like when people fight on too long. I don't want to see older guys come back and get hurt. Mike Tyson's 54. Roy Jones is 51. Now, Roy, I think he last fought in 2017 or 2018, I think. So it's only been a couple years. He has stayed, in the gym and stuff. Tyson hasn't fought since 2005. And when he left, guys, go back and watch his fight with Kevin McBride, but watch the post-fight interview. He says he hates boxing. That post-fight press conference, like later on that night, he kept saying it over and over. He's like, my heart isn't in boxing anymore. I don't love this sport anymore. I hate it. Right? That's pretty much what he said 15 years ago. Then he blew up in weight. He was over 300 pounds, I think, at one point. There was heavy drug use, all kinds of, not just pot. I'm talking all kinds of stuff going on. There was a lot of demons. He's come back from that brink. It's similar to Tyson Fury in a lot of respects, right? What he kind of went through, the up and down and weight and everything. So on the surface, I normally wouldn't like this. But this is an 8-round exhibition fight. And what this really, really, truly is, it was my man Kenny Keith on the Boxing Rant that kind of reminded me of this. Because at first I was like, I don't like this fight. But he responded to me on Twitter. He goes, look, man, this is just a way for Tyson to pretty much announce his new company. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's all this is. This is a commercial, a really, really big commercial to launch Tyson's new company called Legends Only League, the Legends Only League, where I don't know exactly what he's going to do with this thing, but it's not just former great boxers. It's former greats in all sports, like just all-time great athletes that are like in their 50s or 60s, maybe some in their 40s. I don't know. That's probably way too young. But 50s and 60s, bring them back and do like exhibitions and do events and stuff. So this is the launch of that company. This is just a big commercial for that. And then Tyson's cannabis company obviously is doing really well. And there's going to be lots of commercials for that too, right? So that's all this is. Don't get too excited about it. Don't get too worried about it. I don't think there's going to be any hard punches thrown in this fight. Talk to the California State Athletic Commission. I see a few of you guys asking about this in the chat. So it's an 8-round fight, 12-ounce gloves, no headgear. On the surface, that sounds like a real fight. However, No judges, no scoring, no winner. There will be no winner or loser to this fight. No judges are scoring it. There will be a referee. It's going to be Ray Corona. That's Ray Corona. That's right now. He's the guy, I guess, the leading candidate to be the ref. So, and then it's going to be streamed on something called Triller, some app called Triller, which I guess is like a TikTok, a version of TikTok. I don't really know anything about Triller. I looked on their Twitter. They only have like 15,000 followers. And 15,000 followers, for us, that's a lot. But if you're this massive app that's going to spend tens of millions of dollars to stream this fight, I would think you'd have more followers than that. But maybe they're big on Instagram or something else. I don't know. I just checked Twitter. But apparently they're number one in India because TikTok was banned in India. Other than that, though, I don't know nothing. I don't know a damn thing about Triller. But that's who's going to stream this pay-per-view. So I don't know if Tyson has some sort of deal worked out with Triller behind the scenes or what, but that's what it is. So it's not like this is going to be on HBO or Showtime or anything like that. One of you guys in the chat asking, is Logan Paul on the undercard? Yes. Logan Paul, the YouTube guy, is fighting some former basketball player who I've never heard of. I haven't watched the NBA in a long time because it's dog shit these days. But I guess this guy was in the NBA. I don't know if he's any good, but Logan Paul is going to fight some guy that was in the NBA. I have to think the guy in the NBA, even if he's shit at boxing, is going to beat Logan Paul. That might actually be fun and entertaining because the Logan, was it Logan Paul or the other? I can't remember the other Paul's name. Jake Paul. Oh, yeah. It's Jake Paul. Okay, Al W in the chat. It's Jake Paul. It's the brother. Logan Paul fought KSI. And that fight was actually kind of fun. Even though they weren't very good, it was just kind of fun because they were actually trying to win. I was surprised. But I think that this fight with the Jake Paul, I do not know who these freaking people are. Him and, who was it? Nate Robinson, you guys are saying. I think they're actually going to fight. So that fight might be kind of fun. But the Tyson Jones thing, that's literally just going to be two like legends, not just legends of boxing, but I would call them legends of sport. I just use the word sport, meaning legends of all sports. These guys transcend boxing, right? So to see them in the ring kind of doing their thing and see them in shape, these two dudes in their 50s that are jacked as hell, I don't think there's going to be any drug testing or anything, no advanced drug testing, so who knows what the hell is going on. Tyson might be smoking up in a freaking locker room before he walks into the fucking ring. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be fun, but like, do I think a real fight's going to break out? No, I don't think so. Mark in the chat says that Mike Tyson transcended sport. He's literally an icon. I completely agree. Guys, you know what? I get it. LeBron James sells a lot of T-shirts, blah, blah, blah. LeBron James is also extremely divisive, and half of America hates him. Literally because of some of his politics and his hypocrisy, I should say. Not necessarily his political opinions. That's fine. It's his hypocrisy around them, right? So there's popular athletes out there. And Mike Tyson at one point was hated. He was polarizing. But right now, Mike Tyson's kind of beloved. And I got to say, he's probably one of the top 10 most famous people on earth. Not just athletes, former athletes. People. He's one of the most famous people on earth. He moves the needle. There is a fascination with the guy. I don't always kind of understand it, but I guess it's because he literally is that street dude. I've talked about this before. He's who Deontay Wilder tries to pretend he is, and other guys before Wilder. Tyson's the real dude. He's that street guy. In fact, hey, I'm wearing a T-shirt. My man Pietro put this together. Arturo Gatti and Mike Tyson here on the T-shirt. He's that dude. And I think there's just a fascination with that people have. And I think that's part of his mystique. His brand and his mystique is bigger, I think, than his ring accomplishments ever were. It's transcended that. He's beyond boxing and even beyond sports at this point. I skipped over here. We got another super chat from Mark. Again with the super chat. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. He says, I want to walk up to Mike Tyson before the fight and say, remember Berbick versus Ali? Everyone's saying the same thing about you. that they said about Ali. Do this for him. He would go in and KO Roy in 30 seconds. Damn, dude, that's a hell of a good idea. Yeah, so before Mike Tyson's fight with Trevor Berbick, he was fuming. He was so pissed off. He wanted to go in there and tear Trevor Berbick a new asshole because Berbick, what he had done to Ali. Tyson had so much admiration for Ali. He kind of went in there and avenged Ali, and that's why he went so hard at Berbick. So if somebody went in there and whispered in Tyson's ear something crazy, hey, who knows? The guy, he can always kind of go off the rails. But look, this is going 8 rounds. I think if you see a hard punch, it's going to be to the body. And these guys, they're pros. They know how to tip each other off. If Roy Jones shoots a hard right, he's going to cock back that shoulder, right? He's going to hitch it before he throws to give Tyson an indication, hey, man, a right hand's coming, shell up. Same thing with Tyson. He's going to cock back before he shoots an uppercut so Roy can respond. So there will be a few hard punches, but they're going to be telegraphed from last Tuesday, and those are going to be caught. They're going to be blocked. Other than that, it's just going to be jabs and body shots. I do think if you see a hard shot, it's going to be to the body. Both guys are going to be in shape. But you ain't going to see no big overhand rights or big, remember Tyson's furious uppercuts on the inside? You're not going to see that, guys. That's not what this is, okay? So don't get too excited. What I don't know is the price. I don't know, is this going to be $20 or is this going to be $80? If they're smart, they make this shit $10, $15, $20, something like that. Then, yeah, they're going to do 1 million buys. But if it's $80 to watch this shit, come on, man. But just because of Jake Paul being on there, if they make this shit $10, a bunch of teeny boppers are going to buy it because it's on an app that a bunch of kids know. All these teeny boppers that jerk off, that diddle themselves to the Paul brothers, they're going to buy this shit if it's $10 just to see him and his, blonde coiffed hair. So if they do this right, it's going to sell. I'm telling you right now, it's going to sell. Mark with the super chat again. Thank you, Mark. He asked, is there anything scarier than an emotional Mike Tyson? No. Mike is one of those guys in person that you kind of just always keep an eye on. If any of you guys grew up in the street, you know what I'm talking about. There's an energy and a vibe from people where immediately when they walk into a room, they have to size everybody up. And there's times where I'm way civilized, back from what I used to be, way back in the day. But maybe it's the Marine Corps training. Maybe it is somewhat my childhood where I grew up. But when I go anywhere in public, when I'm in any situation, I size everybody up very, very quickly. I know where my exits are. I know who might be an issue in the room. And Tyson does that, but he doesn't hide it. He doesn't do it slyly. He just grills everybody. Not in a mean way. It's just what he does. So when you are around somebody with that energy, especially if you have that energy yourself, maybe it's just an alpha male thing, you pick up on that. And with Mike, you just never know. So when you see him in person, you don't square up. You kind of just stay a little cocked. You kind of stay at a 45 because you just kind of don't know. He's just kind of one of those people. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. It's just who the man is. And there's a lot of us like that, again, to varying levels, obviously. But he's that dude. And maybe that's part of the fascination with him. Because, again, a lot of fighters try to pretend they're that guy and they put on that persona, but they really ain't that guy. They grew up in the gyms and they can handle themselves in a fight, but they're not that dude. There's a lot of guys out there that try to hide it and mask it and, forget that. Maybe I'm one of those guys. But in certain situations, there's just weird little things people do. And Tyson probably isn't even aware of it. I'll tell you guys, there's times where I'm out with my fiance, who, by the way, will be my wife officially next month. And she'll say, Mike, why are you saying that? Or how did you see that? How did you notice that? There's just little weird things you notice and stuff because there's something ingrained in you. And obviously Tyson is 1 million times greater than I'd ever be on that spectrum. But and he wears it on his sleeve, dude. He doesn't apologize for it. He wears it on his sleeve. And maybe, again, I think maybe that's why people are so enamored with him. Mark with the super chat again. He says, congratulations. Thank you so much, Mark. A couple of you guys in the chat with the congrats. Yeah, man. Look, I won't talk too much about myself, but Tiffany and I are going to get married next month, like a month from now, late next month. It's actually going to be the anniversary of the day that we met. We just picked a day. It's like a Thursday. It's a random day, but we don't have the money right now because of COVID and everything else to do like a real wedding. So we're just going to go to the courthouse and get the paperwork. And then, maybe in a year or so, or it might take a few years to get enough money where we can actually do like an actual wedding, and the one thing that we're going to do is we're going to take photos. So I'll post some of those on Twitter. I'll share those with you guys. But yeah, man, we're not doing anything crazy exciting. We're just going to the courthouse and getting the papers. But she won't be Tiffany Lamb anymore. She'll be Tiffany Montero. It's kind of crazy to think about that, man, as I sip my beer again. Yeah, it's a little crazy. But thank you so much, all you guys in the chat. But Edward RK in the chat asks, will you be holding a Monday show, Michael? I think you're asking about the neutral corner. If you're talking about Monday, yes, of course. Every Monday, right around 5 o'clock. And that's on the Ring Digital YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed over there. All right. Okay. Let's talk about this Showtime schedule, man. This is another thing I wanted to talk about with you guys. And again, we're going to be talking about this stuff more. We'll talk about it in the neutral corner. And as these fights come up, we'll preview them in detail. But I got to give it to Showtime. Now, this is a strong schedule from August 1st through December 12th. There are several good quality fights on here. Some of them are more diehard fight fan kind of fights. Some of them are more for the casuals, right? But all in all, this is a nice schedule. 2 of them are pay-per-view. I don't give a shit about the Davis-Santa Cruz pay-per-view. It's funny because you guys who watch my show, you know this. I've been telling you since last December when I talked to Leonard Ellerby when he was down here in Atlanta for a story I did in Ring, and we talked about it, and he told me right then and there what they were going to do. I like, this wasn't big news, but yesterday everyone's like, oh, or earlier this week, I should say, not yesterday. All the typical, guys, I'm not going to name the names, but they're like, breaking sources, blah, 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 pay-per-view. So yeah, there's an official date now and everything. I get it. But like, we knew this was going to happen for a year. It's not surprising. I'm not excited about that fight because I don't think it belongs on pay-per-view. And there's other people I'd rather see both guys face, specifically Santa Cruz, who has just spent his last 5 years or so of his career, actually the bulk of his career, just avoiding top fights. And that to me is an issue, a big issue. And I think he's is it 4-division champ, 3-division champ? That's bullshit. He's like an Adrian Broner type. And I'm not trying to diss him. The Santa Cruz family are wonderful people. Leo's an awesome dude, one of the nicest guys in the sport. But dude, you gotta step it up. Now, Tank Davis might be the second best opponent of his career. And in that respect, I do give him respect. But I'd rather see him fight somebody in his own weight class. He could have stayed at 126 and fought Gary Russell. There's no reason that fight shouldn't happen. But I think that the powers that be in PBC knew that, I think Leo feels a little bit better about fighting Tank because of Tank's issues making weight. I think he knows he'd be outboxed against Gary Russell. I'd pick Gary Russell big against Leo Santa Cruz. I think he'd clearly win an 8-4 kind of decision. But against Tank, the one chance Leo has is Tank gassing late and Leo able to kind of, steal rounds in the second half of that fight. He has a chance. I think it's a slim chance, but he does have a chance. Also, that's the more marketable fight that you could put on pay-per-view. It's not going to sell very well, but if it gets 300,000, 200,000 buys, that's enough for both of those guys to make career-high paydays. So I see this kind of the same way I saw when Mikey Garcia wanted no part of Vasily Lomachenko, right? And he moved up to 140 for 1 or 2 fights, and then he went to 47 to fight Errol Spence. That was a way for PBC to keep everything in-house, use a Mexican-American fighter and his Mexican-American fan base to help build up Errol Spence's name, get a good name on Errol Spence's record. And that's kind of what I see here with Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. It's not the exact same. I'm not saying it's apples to apples, but there's a lot of parallels here, a lot of similarities, okay? So Mark with another super chat pledge. Mark, I can't thank you enough. You're the man. So, thank you so much. He says, I'm so confused about this fight. There's like 3 weights of titles involved. It's beyond confusing. Exactly, my man. So the WBA continues to be the laughing stock of boxing. They have apparently this fight, and here's what I couldn't believe it when I first saw this. This fight's going to be at 130 pounds. Now, I was here, in Atlanta with Tank Davis, missed weight a couple times for his last fight at 135. And now he's going to make 130? Dude, I don't know about that. I think we're going to see him weigh in around 132, 133, and just pay extra money to Leo Santa Cruz. I think we're going to see a weight hustle like we saw with Floyd Mayweather when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez. He didn't even try to make the catchweight. He didn't even try. He and his camp just prepared to be their standard weight and just pay extra money to Marquez to have that advantage. I think we're going to see something similar here. My question is, what's the WBA going to do? Because one of these guys has one of the WBA titles at 130. One of them has another WBA title at 135. Neither one's the true legitimate champion of either weight class, but they have a version of the titles in each weight class. So they're going to allow the WBA, the 130 and 135 pound titles to be on the line for this fight. Try to keep up with this shit. It makes 0 sense. Meanwhile, look, Vasily Lomachenko has the super belt or whatever the hell it is at 135, and he is the champion. In the winner between him and Teofimo Lopez on October 3rd, that will be ESPN pay-per-view, by the way. I've been telling you guys that for a freaking year. That person is the champion at 135. It's not Tank Davis, okay? So, but what happens if Tank weighs in at like 133, 134? What happens? Does the WBA say, nope, the 130 ain't on the line for him? Or do they still allow the 130 and 135 titles, the regular titles or whatever the hell it is, to be on the line? I'm so confused. I just think that fight, to me, is a marketing thing. And I know a lot of people think that's going to be this super close, really competitive fight. And there's a lot of people picking Leo Santa Cruz. I'm telling you guys right now, Tank's going to win this fight. Gervonta Davis will win this fight. If he struggles with weight and everything else, it might be close in that respect because he might be drained and everything else. But Leo's going to have to get a knockout to win a decision here. The A side, the money side, that's Tank, all right? So Leo's going to have to either knock him out or drop him multiple times to win a split decision. He's not going to do that. He doesn't have the power to do that. So I could see a situation where Tank wins a wide decision or even maybe stops Leo late. But I think Leo is going to be able to cover up and survive. And this is probably going 12 rounds, and it's going to be 118, 110, 117, 111, somewhere in that ballpark. One asshole judge might score to draw to make the shit look closer than it really is. And there's going to be people on Twitter saying, no, Leo really won that fight. They're going to bitch about it when everyone knows Tank won. That's what's going to happen here. That's my gut feel up front. Now, if I hear some things between now and then of what's going on at camp, maybe my opinion will change. But that's how I see that one. Super chat pledge from Florian Seagrease. Thank you so much, Florian. I appreciate that. And from Giuseppe LaRocca. Thank you so much, my man. He says, love the show. An excellent choice with the Peroni beer. Thank you. Have you guys opened up your beers yet? What's up? Mark with the super chat. He says, will you be taking calls? Yes, phone lines are open. Go ahead and call in. Any of you guys want to call in? Phone lines are open. Get on the line. Oh, yeah. All right. August 1st. By the way, one thing I noticed about all these cards, they're all Saturday night. There's none of these Showtime cards are Fridays, so I don't think any of these would technically be showboxed. I think these are all Saturday, guys. Someone was calling, so sorry about the little pause there in the video. That's the thing about shooting a video into a phone. People like to call you and text you during the middle of the broadcast. Anyway, so all these are Saturday night cards, and I think they're all going to be at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. That has not been verified yet, but I think that's going to be what the plan is. Okay, August 1st. So what is that? Next Saturday. This is a decent little card with some prospects, man. Stephen Fulton's on that card against Angelo Leo. Tremaine Williams against Rais Alim. And all four of those fighters are undefeated. So 2 O's are going to go. And then Joe George against Marcos Uscadero, who has 1 loss. But I like, and then the Williams-Alim fight is a super bantamweight title eliminator. The Fulton-Leo fight is for a vacant junior featherweight world title. So that's a decent little card, man, to kick things off. I like that a lot. 2 Saturdays after that, August 15th, David Benavidez defending his WBC 168-pound title against Romar Alexis Angulo. That's a decent fight. There's a million guys I'd rather see Benavidez fight before Angulo, but that's a decent fight. Also, there's an interim title bout, lightweight title bout on the line. Rolando Romero going up against Jackson Marinez. 2 undefeated guys. Someone's always going to go. And then heavyweight action. This could actually be fun just in terms of styles. Otto Wallin going up against Travis Kaufman. That could be sloppy, but I think it's also going to be fun. So you get a couple of gatekeeper level heavyweights fighting. One gatekeeper, one journeyman level kind of guy. That could be a lot of fun, man. I think Mark's on the line. Let's jump over here to the phone lines. Mark, is that you? What's up, man?
Yeah, it's me. How's it going? How's things?
Going well, my man. How are you?
I'm great. Preemptive congratulations on getting married, first of all. And secondly, what the fuck, mate? What the fuck is a super featherweight champion?
Did you see that? I don't know, man. Was that a typo? Or is that the WBA?
That is for real. Because if you look at Callum Smith, he's the super middleweight champion. What is this?
Dude, it's the WBA, man. Mark, how would you explain the situation with Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz to somebody who's brand new to boxing? Like, how would you describe that to them?
Yeah, you put me on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that Leo Santa Cruz is currently the junior lightweight champion of the world at the 130-pound division. And Gervonta Davis is a secondary lightweight world champion. There's 2 possible titles on the line, and Leo Santa Cruz doesn't have to choose between any of the titles if he wins. He could retain the lightweight championship, the junior lightweight championship, and the featherweight championship.
And that's the thing, though. It's only a piece of the championship. I don't even mean in just that it's only one belt, because the WBA has multiple belts at all those weights. So
here, Mike.
Yeah,
I've got one for you that's gonna burn it. We all give the WBC crap, right? All the time. We give them crap all the time. There's a gold champion, an interim champion, the regular champion, and the super champion. They are all of world title status with the WBA. We all know this, right? Yes?
Yes.
Right. That means 17 weight divisions, 4 possible belts. There are 68 world titles. If each sanctioning body only had world titles, right? 1 world title apiece, there'd only be 68 available across all weight divisions. The WBA alone has 68 on its own.
Right. Man, dog, it's bad. I mean, I think I could fight for a fucking title. I mean, Trevor Bryan. Have you looked at Trevor Bryan's resume? And no disrespect to Trevor Bryan himself, But I look at his resume and, like, again, I'm just a weekend warrior. I'm some fucking idiot who just writes about this shit. But I work out enough and I've sparred and I know enough about this shit. I know I can beat some of Trevor Bryan's opponents. I know I could. I've had boxing people tell me this.
BJ Flores. He's the
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the one guy he fought that has a pulse. But no, I'm saying look at his resume and some of the opponents. I mean, some of these guys are like 2-20, 4-16, like crazy records like that. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
The WBA is terrible. Terrible.
Well, we have some news on Trevor Bryan for the first time in 2 years. According to a certain fighter, Mr. Christopher Lovejoy is apparently going to be fighting against Trevor Bryan in a mouth-watering clash.
Jesus Christ. Was that pay-per-view? No.
Would you put it past them?
Nope. Hey, man, if they got 100 people to buy that shit, just friends and family buy that shit, hey, we made a couple $1,000, I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, man. I think I've talked about this on my show before. The president of the WBA, I bumped into him outside of the Forum one time in just outside of LA. And he kind of came up to me and kind of tapped me on the shoulder and talked to me. And I was surprised he knew who I was. But I did it. I talked about this. I ripped the sanctioning bodies all the time. And he had heard me beat the shit out of them. And he told me, hey, I would like to invite you to our convention because I really want to show you what we do and explain why we do what we do and how we do it. And he's like, I'd like you to be a guest at our convention. I said, cool, man. You want to hook that shit up? I'll go. And of course, it never went anywhere. So, I was willing to give them a chance and go to their convention and talk to their executives and learn about their process and everything to see if there was any logic behind it. But of course, that all fell through. And they've gotten dumber. They've literally gotten dumber. I don't know if you remember, Mark, a few years ago when he said he wanted to, consolidate the titles. Yeah, what happened with that?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, the undisputed WBA champion and all this crap. Oh, come on. Do you remember when they came out with that super championship and everything? Oh, my God.
I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, when that started, and then you're right, with some of these divisions, you get a super middleweight champion, and it's like, how the fuck do I explain that one day to my future children when I'm getting them into boxing, and they'd rather go watch MMA because there's only 8 divisions and there's 8 champions because UFC basically is MMA, right? They have 8 divisions, which is what boxing used to have. And they have 1 champion in each division. I don't know if UFC does interim titles, but I'm going to have to argue it. I could just see it right now, man. Years from now, I'm going to be arguing with my kid. No, watch boxing. And he's going to be like, Dad, what the fuck's a super middleweight champion? I could see those arguments taking place already.
Never mind that. You're going to have to explain a super light heavyweight and a junior cruiserweight. You'll probably have to explain a super heavyweight, junior heavyweight. You don't have to explain a lot of stuff because
we'll probably have 20 divisions.
It's going to be ridiculous. It's getting to the point where it's already impossible. Like, I can't explain boxing to somebody who's new to it. I can't. I know the sport inside now. I can't break down the dynamics of our belt and sanctioning bodies to anybody. It's too difficult.
It's really,
literally a lot of crap.
What's fucked up is we live in a place now where the IBF is seen as the most ethical organization, right? Because every now and then they do an interim title, but it's pretty much 1 title per division. They follow their rules, whether you like it or not. But if you go back 20 years, they were the most corrupt organization, and they were taken to court. There was, issues with the feds.
Shout out to the number 1 sanctioning body for fraud.
Exactly. Yeah, man. International boxing fraud. But now they're the most, they follow the rules the most. I'll say that. But they're also probably the least powerful of the big 4 because they follow their rules. It's just like, holy shit, man. You can't write this shit.
Even though they're ethical, even though we look at it as ethical, they're also in some ways one of the worst things in boxing because they are the most stringent, right? Which means they offer no flexibility for unifications.
Right.
When you have Canelo being stripped title, right? Being stripped of a title, he could go and unify. No. You stripped him of that title, so Doreti and Shenko can fight for it.
Yeah. And then it all comes full circle, and Golovkin, the guy who they stripped, ends up with the fucking belt. You can't write this shit, man. I remember at heavyweight when Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko, and what was it, a month later, the IBF stripped Tyson Fury, and who ends up fighting for the fucking title? Charles Martin and Vyacheslav Glazkov. Yeah. Now, who in the right fucking mind would think those two guys are on the same stratosphere as Tyson Fury? It just, so that's the thing about boxing, Mark, is you have to be flexible. You can't just have computerized rules. It will never work because there's too many variables in boxing. Too much crazy shit can happen. So you have to have flexibility. And I appreciate that the BC and the BA and the BO, they will bend rules sometimes when they need to. And sometimes they do it in a smart, logical way. But, you know, the IBF, it's just funny to me that, yeah, the once the most corrupt organization now is the cleanest and shiniest because they follow their own rules, even though a lot of times those rules don't make sense. You just can't write this shit, man. It's the soap opera that I love about this sport.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh.
Oh, man, we had another caller on here, but they dropped off. Whoever was on the line, call back. I think they got sick of waiting. Call back, and I'll get you on. You can talk with me and Mark, because I can open it up to multiple callers. So whoever that was, call back. But, yeah, what else you got, man? I got a second beer here. I'm going to crack this second beer.
I'm happy for you. I don't drink anymore. I quit.
Hey, man, you're smart. When I did the 75 hard program earlier this year and I didn't drink for 75 days, dude, my body changed. I slept better than I've slept in years. And I don't even drink that much. I just drink on the weekends. But, man, it does make a difference. Holy shit, does it make a difference.
Sorry. I didn't quite catch that. I broke up. The line broke.
I was just saying it makes a difference when you stop drinking. As I sip my beer, it does make a difference, man. It just makes a difference in your body.
No, it does. It does for sure. But I've got one for you, right? This is interesting for me, just me personally. Do you think the Charlo card is $75?
The Charlo doubleheader pay-per-view? Yeah.
Do you think it's worth $70?
Do I think it's worth that? You know what? Let's talk about that. You know, I'm going to open up the lines here because we got one other call. So we're gonna have a threesome here. Hang on. 901, you're on. What's up?
Hey, Professor Montero, am I late? Did I miss anything?
Well, yeah, we talked a little bit about Tyson Jones. We talked a little bit about Nazim Richardson. We talked about Tank Davis, Leo Santa Cruz. But Mark just brought up a great question. Let me ask you this. Is the Charlo pay-per-view worth $75?
Okay, if any pay-per-view is worth $75, yeah, that one is.
Okay.
It's a good card. Why not? All pay-per-views in the U.S. start at $75, you know, unless you want to count your $10 a month DAZN or your ESPN Plus, whatever. In general, with some exceptions, all pay-per-views start out at $75. And I'm a hopeless boxing junkie. I'm hooked. And you know what? Is that pay-per-view better than Pacquiao Broner? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that pay-per-view better than like 20 that I've paid for anyways? Yeah.
Well, let me ask both you guys this. Let me ask you this. I'm going to read off these fights, and then I want to ask you something. So, Jermall versus Derevyanchenko Brandon Figueroa versus Damian Vasquez, Diego Magdaleno, who will be on TNC in the next few weeks, against Isaac Cruz, Jermel versus Jason Rosario, Mario Barrios versus Ryan Carl, and Daniel Roman versus TBA. Is this the best PBC pay-per-view ever?
No.
Which one was better?
Whichever one had Hurd, Lara, and I think that was Tyson Fury, Wilder won. Didn't it have like 2 consecutive 154 fights that were really good?
Let me look it up. Mark, do you remember that one or not?
I remember that Donna Stevenson and Bostick was actually in another place, and that was on the card, wasn't it? That was the co-main to Fury versus Wilder one.
Let me see.
If I'm not mistaken.
God, I don't remember that. I don't remember those two as separate. Hey, did you get to talking around about Ray Vargas tonight fighting Luis Ortiz? I heard that was going to happen. Who's going to win?
Ray Vargas versus who?
Luis Ortiz.
What? Do you mean Ray Vargas versus Luis Nery by any chance?
No. I mean Sam Vargas versus Ortiz.
Oh, Sammy Vargas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, because you kind of you hit a couple different weight divisions there. No, we haven't got to that yet.
That was my version of Cockney rhyming slang.
Okay. You know what? Real quick, before we go to that, I'm looking at that Wilder Fury 1 pay-per-view. Jarrett Hurd fought Jason Wellborn. That wasn't a very good fight. But Luis Ortiz was on that card against Travis Kaufman. Joe Joyce against Joe Hanks. Chris Arreola was on that card. Yeah, Robert Guerrero, J-Rock. So they had some names, but the matchups weren't good.
They had names, but in showcase fights. Sounds like that sounds a lot like the Crawford Khan card.
Oh, that was a shit card.
Lots of names in showcase fights.
That was terrible.
No, I can't remember. There was a PBC pay-per-view card that it was like it heavily featured 2 good 154 fights. I'm almost certain it was pay-per-view. It was Lara Hurd and whatever else. That was a really
Lara
good
Hurd
one.
wasn't pay-per-view. Lara Hurd couldn't have been pay-per-view.
I thought it was the support to a pay-per-view. I don't remember.
Might have been like the pre-fight.
No, this couldn't be the best PBC pay-per-view card. I mean, look.
I think it is.
Cards that PBC was supposed to be putting on network television for us.
Oh, I know. That's the great hypocrisy here. But I'm just looking. Look, you got 6 fights on 1 pay-per-view, split site. That's a pretty solid pay-per-view. However, back to Mark's question, is it worth $75? I guess in today's market, yes. But I don't think these fights, these 2 main event fights, are as close as people are making them out to be. Am I crazy for saying that? I don't think they're as close as people think.
So.
Am I wrong or what?
I think they're close. I'm happy to be wrong. I mean, you know better than me, but I think they're really close.
I think, I'm curious what Mark thinks on this.
I'm in agreement with the caller, actually. I think
I
think they're pretty close fights.
Here's why I say that, guys. Jason Rosario, he has 1 win over J-Rock. What else?
Nothing.
He's beat a couple of good gatekeepers recently. I forget who, but I think he's done pretty good. And his win over J-Rock was pretty emphatic, and that J-Rock just outboxed Jarrett Hurd at close range. I mean, that was one hell of a win.
But
no, I agree.
Need to remember that J-Rock is a capitulator fighter. J-Rock looked fantastic against Hurd, but did you see him against Ishii Smith?
I can't remember. How was that?
A lot of people felt he was lucky to escape with the victory. Am I wrong in saying that, Mike?
No, I remember that.
Wow.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
I just don't know, man. Here's what makes me a little skeptical. Now, let me just say, I like the card. I like the card a lot. I think top to bottom, not including like let's say maybe they'll have like an opening fight on Fox or something that goes into the pay-per-view. I'm just talking about the actual pay-per-view fights. I think top to bottom,
Yeah.
this is the best pay-per-view in PBC's history. They've been doing pay-per-views for like 3 years now. I think it's the best one. I really, really do. But
Well, who
There's
was on
just-
Spence Porter?
Spence Porter, I was there for that one. I covered that one for Ring.
Oh,
Uh,
For which card?
I covered Spence's last 2 fights actually for Ring, but Spence Porter, that was in LA. Man, that was a good trip. That was a fun trip. That was a solid card. Yeah, I'm looking here. So you had Anthony Durrell, David Benavidez. That's a good matchup. You had Mario Barrios, who was lucky to win that fight. Was that the fight where he?
That was a great fight.
Yeah. And then, Jose Cito Lopez and John Molina, I thought that was going to be a better fight than it turned out to be. Lopez just has way more in the tank left than Molina. So you know what? Okay, all right, guys. I'll step back from that. I'll step back. You're right. That was a pretty damn good pay-per-view.
I think the best card they've put on so far would be Pacquiao Thurman, possibly.
Okay. Now I got to look that one up.
that sure was a good fight.
That was a fun fight.
Very good fight.
That was a fun fight.
But they also had like Ugas versus Figueroa on the card, Neary versus Poyano, Plant fought against Mike Lee. Like, I know that's crap. But Jack fought Alier and the Millers.
Sergey Lipinets was on there. Yeah, that was a pretty good card too. So you know what? PBC,
that's a good one.
They are putting good undercards together for these pay-per-views for the most part. Some of them have been dog shit, but look, with Top Rank, they're going to do that Lomachenko Lopez pay-per-view. They need to stack that undercard. They really, really, especially if you're going up. Think about it this way, guys. The Lomachenko Lopez pay-per-view, that is 1 week after this Charlo doubleheader. So if they don't stack that undercard, that pay-per-view is going to struggle. Seriously.
I don't think they're going to stack it. I don't think they will. I don't think they have. I don't think they're going to want to pay what it takes to stack it.
Sadly, I agree with you. I'm
think
pessimistic.
I think they're going to have discount fights on the undercard.
I think we could get Jesse Magdaleno versus Emmanuel Navarrete on the card.
Oh, I think Magdaleno will go through a meat grinder named Cowboy Navarrete. I wouldn't mind watching that. That's cool.
If that's the co-main, okay, then I'm good. And that fight's pretty cheap. That's pretty affordable. How about putting Inoue on that card?
No,
he doesn't have a date yet, does he?
He doesn't have a date, but neither does Casemiro. So
they have an opportunity there with that card, man. I was just gonna say, Top Rank has a lot of guys from, I want to say, like 118 up through 135, and they have guys, of course, higher up the weight scale. But fighters at those weights come fairly cheap. They have an opportunity there. If you get guys like Navarrete, Inoue, those types of Casemiro on that card, then you have a real opportunity. Something for the real diehard fight fans. Those aren't household names, but for the diehard fight fans, those are solid names. And I think they'd be wise to get some of those names on that card, especially with what PBC is doing on September 26th, because that's a good card.
They should put Taylor versus Kong Song on that card.
That would be that'd be great marketing for Taylor.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. That'd be a great introduction.
That would get a bit of a British audience involved, like Scottish people living out in the US as well.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if they do it on the East Coast, which is what they were originally talking about. It's probably going to go to Vegas now. Who knows? But they have, that's what I'm saying, man. They have options. They really, really do. And their summer series, that second wave is going to be good. It's going to be good. But I see guys in the chat ask.
Michael.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say a few people in the chat were asking about Charlo Derevyanchenko. And so, okay, both of the Charlo fights versus Derevyanchenko versus Rosario. On the surface, these look like 50-50 fights. And listen, I'm excited for them. I think these are great. Both of these fights are the best opponents of both Charlo's careers. But there's also uncertainty. There's the unknown there. We don't know what is left from Derevianchenko after the beating he took against Golovkin. That was a great fight, and he put plenty of leather on Triple G. But I'm telling you right now, if you look at their faces the week or so after that fight, it's night and day. Derevianchenko took an absolute beating in that fight, and I just don't know. He also had a tough fight with Jacobs. I don't know if he's going to look the same against Charlo. I hope he does. I really hope he does, because then we'll get a great fight. And then with Rosario, did he just like strike lightning in a bottle one night against an underprepared J-Rock Williams? We just don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope these are great 50-50 fights. But part of me just wonders if the matchmakers at PBC know something we don't.
Well, we also got to factor in that sometimes both Charlos are quite explosive and know how to take advantage of their opponent slipping up pretty quick. I mean, them dudes can take advantage of somebody slipping real good. And also got to consider that Jamal sometimes isn't very good.
Yeah, kind of hot and cold. Hot and cold. That's true. Super chat pledge from Deed. On the super chat pledge from Deed. Thank you so much, brother. He asked, do you think Charlo can KO Derevianchenko? I absolutely think he can. I'm starting to think he will. Yeah. I know. I probably sound crazy, but I just can Derevianchenko be the same guy that he was going into the Jacobs and Golovkin fights? If he can, that's amazing. You guys think I'm crazy?
No. Like I said, I think both Charlos are quite explosive and can exploit their opponent's slipping. Just kind of like we saw it against Julian Williams with Jamal Charlo. We saw it Harrison with Jamel. I mean, Harrison was spanking him the whole night, and then all of a sudden, bam! Well,
right.
What happened?
My gut feel.
Jamel Charlo didn't give. Lubinson had one opportunity to screw up and get away with it, and bam, comes in with his head down, and Jamel just sleeps him. And we've seen the same thing out of Jamal, so that's very possible. I mean, I wouldn't want them dudes hitting me.
They're both very explosive. They're both vulnerable, though, and they have holes in their game. But it's going to take a young, prime, skillful fighter to beat them. Also a guy that fights 3 minutes of every round. And I think Derevianchenko is going to be winning the fight halfway through against, Jamal. And I just see him getting stopped late. I see him getting caught, being tired. I think Charlo can work the body, then catch him with a hook, an uppercut, something on the inside during an exchange and really hurt him. I think that's also possible with Rosario. The only difference with Rosario is he's in his physical prime and he's strong as shit for that division. I'm probably more excited about that fight, actually, now that I think about it.
Huh.
I know. I sound crazy today, but it's just a gut feel.
Yeah, no, you don't sound crazy. You sound excited and educated on the matter, and it's a pleasure getting to call into your show, Michael, and it's a pleasure getting to hear your point of view, Mark, as always, man. All right, I'm going to go, walk in the circles.
All right. All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for calling in, man. Calling again. All right. Mark, you want to stay on the line or you need to drop off?
I don't mind, whatever's good for you, man.
No, hey, hang out, man. We got another call here. Let me pick up this other call. 262, you're on. Go.
Hey, it's Johnny Boy. What's
Johnny
going on,
Boy,
fellas?
what's
How
up?
we doing?
How you doing, man? Oh, shit.
Good.
We got the whole gang together right here.
Mark, I was going to say, Mark knows me. We're good buddies. He's familiar with me.
Awesome.
Let's what are we talking? What are we talking? The Charlo fights?
Yeah, man. I want to get your take on this, man, because I feel like what I'm saying is crazy as I hear myself saying it, but I think Charlo can stop Derevianchenko because I just don't know if he's going to be the same after the beating he took against Triple G. Am I crazy or what? Am I bots or what? What's going on?
Nah. You ain't. Nah, you're not crazy. It's a good fight. I think it's going to be a pretty fan-friendly fight too. Charlo and Derevianchenko.
Oh yeah.
For the other one, yeah, it'll make people happy, I'm sure. But I think Rosario, the other one, Little Charlo and Rosario. I think you kind of got to lean towards Little Charlo on that one, just because he's been in the ring with so many more dudes. I've listened the last 15, 20 minutes. He's like you said, he's fought J-Rock and that's it. So you got to favor Little Charlo on that one, at least from my point of view. But on the other one's the one I'm on the fence about, though. So
I keep going back and forth, man, because again, yeah, you hit it with Rosario, the experience factor. He had one great night. J-Rock had a shitty night. We've seen J-Rock go up and down in his performances. He's hot and cold, right? And the one thing, so Rosario's big and strong. He's a big, physical, strong fighter for that division. He's in his physical prime. That's what makes me excited for that fight. But then I could also see Charlo is so much more skilled. He throws straighter punches. His angles and spacing is tighter. He could catch Rosario coming in, hurt him with something, and it could be a quick night. I just don't know what to make of these two fights. But I guess that's what makes it a good card.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate? Okay, so the first one with Rosario and Jermell, right? And Baby Charlo versus Rosario. And we also need to take into account, Rosario, maybe it was just that one flash in the pan. But you know what else? It was his first full training camp in his entire career. It was the first time he was actually prepared for a fight himself. And maybe he showed just how good he can be.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So that's the first one. That's the first one. And the second one, Big Jermell, Derevianchenko. Could he be hooked? Could he be battle-time? Absolutely. But he could be more experienced. He could know a little bit more. And something we've seen with Jermell is he don't like you sitting on his chest.
Yeah.
He don't. And for my money, Derevianchenko is one of the best at getting inside the pocket and beating you up inside, using the angles, using that slight little pivot, going backwards, leaning to the side, open for the hook. Yeah, but Charlo don't throw that very often. He likes straight counter punches. He likes to get on the jab, keep it at range, and pound down. It's Jermell who likes to left hook. So
yeah, Mark. You can make an argument or a case for either side of that because, like Mike said, Charlo got left after having them two wars back-to-back with Jacobs and Golovkin. And on the other side of that coin, you could say, well, but who's Charlo been in the ring with at 160?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
good.
It's kind of, you can make points for either which way,
Let's be fair, though, to Derevianchenko. It's not 2 wars back-to-back. He's had 3 wars back-to-back. That Jack Couquet fight was fucking hard work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Because that was a distance fight too, was it not? I think.
Yeah, and it was a close fight as well.
Yeah.
It was close, 7-5, 8-4.
So he's had
run
3 tough
Derevianchenko
fights,
stuff.
bro.
Yeah.
3 tough fights
Yeah.
like that, and then before that, he wasn't the most active guy. So it just makes me wonder again. Just look at the way the Charlos have been matched. Look at the way PBC does business. All of a sudden, they're matching them tough like this on the same night. It just doesn't make sense. So I just wonder: are they seeing something we're not seeing? And what's making them pull the trigger on it like this? I like the matchups, but hold on. Let me go real quick to some super chats, guys, and we'll get your opinions on this. Captain Hook Chronicles on the chat from Canada. What's up, man? He says Obali Donaire is maybe the best matchup of all. I like that fight on December 12th. People do not sleep on that fight because Donaire, that old man still has some pop in his hands. I like that fight a lot, and that's on regular Showtime. B. Buteman on the super chat. Thank you so much. He says, does the World Boxing Super Series finale ever happen? That's a damn good question. That cruiserweight fight, contractually, it has to happen. It has to happen per the contract. So I do think it will happen. When, where, how it'll look and all that, I have no idea, but it's supposed to. And then 30S30 for the Super Chat pledge. Thank you so much. He says, my man Mike, what do you know about the Casemiro-Inoue fight? I heard that there were issues related to the purse, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with it. Mark, Johnny Boy, have you guys heard anything? I haven't.
It was canceled. It was completely canceled.
They just completely did away with it, huh?
Yeah, it's completely scrapped.
That sucks.
Yeah, because Inoue, I believe, still stuck in Japan, and they can't get him over here, I think.
I remember that, the visa issues.
Yeah.
But then once they could, they were scheduling stuff for Casemiro. Remember, he was meant to actually fight, what's his name? Kid who lost to Plania. Oh, what's the name? Like Chicago kid. Greer. Is it Greer?
Oh,
Greer.
yeah, Derek Greer.
Yeah, that kid. So that's the circumstance there. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it will happen until next year. Unfortunately.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, I gotta tell that kid. I gotta tell that kid to send me a Walter Payton jersey real quick. You know what I mean?
All right, let's talk about. All right, let me. Okay, I need to get these other ones out. September 19th, Saturday, Erickson Lubin fighting Terrell Goucher. That's a good fight. Tugsat Nyambayar. I always have trouble with that name, versus Eduardo Ramirez. King Tug. That's way easier. That is an eliminator. Both of those are eliminator fights. And then Jaron Ennis is fighting. He's probably going to fight a can, unfortunately. And then October 10th, Sergey Lipinets versus Kudratio Abdukukurov. That is a damn good fight.
That's a very good fight.
That's a damn good fight. Yeah. So I like that one a lot. And that is a interim title for the IBF. And then Xavier Martinez, Claudio Marrero, that's decent. Malik Hawkins, Subriel Matias, that's decent. But I'm telling you, man, that Lipinets Abdukukurov, that's a great fight. So, look, I mean, let's give Showtime some credit. But let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. How much of this, I don't want to give Steven Espinoza too much credit, because over the last few years, Showtime has been dog shit. How much of this is because they're desperate for fucking content? And pound for pound, boxing content is pretty cheap. If you look at the guys on this schedule, right? Take away the pay-per-views. I'm talking about the guys on regular Showtime. These guys come pretty cheap. How much of this is just, not that I'm complaining, I'm just saying, is this Showtime proving that they're really back in the boxing business 100%? Or is this Showtime during COVID pandemic being desperate for content and doling out some cash to get some fights?
I think
you want to
that's
go first or Lloyd?
I'll go first. I think they're desperate to pump some stuff out there, I think, is what it is. I mean, you know, I can only do the Shakur Stevensons versus Cristobal, whatever, so many times.
Right.
You know, they got to start putting, yeah. So I think that's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I think it's actually got something to do with Fox kind of pulling out with the PBC. So they're able to get more fights on there. They don't have a direct competitor now to get these fights. Fox were putting on more fights. They were putting on the bigger fights. They were stacking the cards more with Fox. Mm-hmm. And now Fox, they're pulling out funding to some extent. It looks like they're only going to be doing 2 or 3 shows this year, Fox, and 2 of them may be pay-per-view. One of them is going to be Danny and Spence. I think everybody knows that. That shit's done.
Yeah.
So,
Pacquiao.
You go. I don't know. Who's Pacquiao pointing? He's not pointing no Errol Spence.
They talked about Mikey. They've talked about a couple different names, but yeah, they wanted to bring him back by the end of the year. Who knows what he'll do with the COVID situation? But they had a certain plan. Yeah. It just kind of blew up.
Yeah, I've been saying that if it's possible, they should just go ahead and make that him and Crawford, because I look at it like this. Crawford gets the big fight he's been looking for, and Pacquiao, win, lose, or draws, going up against one of the top 5 guys in the world, pound for pound. So I've been telling Mark the same thing. I think that would be a good situation for all of them, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The problem is it just makes too much sense.
Yeah.
You know how that shit goes.
That's the problem, Johnny. Johnny, you can't be making logical sense.
You can't be using your fucking brains, Yeah. All right, hold on. We got another call here. I'm gonna get someone else. Oh wait, 901. You're back on the line. What's up?
I know, I'm back. I forgot all about. I'm not going to pronounce his name. The Punisher versus Lipinets. Man, I don't know if you guys. That's a weird one. That should be good, but I don't know if y'all saw Punisher get one-armed Coyotzo a while back, but Punisher's last fight was his Tank Davis moment against. That was sort of his Tank Davis, Yuriorkis Gamboa. He was awful, and it was almost comical watching at times Coyotzo one-armed just box a dude. What happened? He was one of those about to kill everybody at any minute now prospects, along with Klauskis a while back, and man, he really just crapped the bed against Coyotzo. What's happened to this kid? Is that his bad night, or is he just going to or is Lipinets going to waste him?
Well, that was a gas tank issue. He dominated the first 6-7 rounds, and then he fucking just sweltered up, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was a gas tank issue.
Yeah, but it was a dude who had one arm.
I think it was just a youthful learning lesson. I don't know, dog. One thing, the Uzbeks, those are some bad motherfuckers, and they're coming. They're starting to slowly take over. I'm not going to say take over the sport, but guys from that part of the world, they're the new breed. They're the new wave. You know what I'm saying? Like what the Ukrainians were the last 5 years or so, those Uzbek guys are coming in now. And I just think that's going to be a damn good fight. He's going to be 100% for that. And then, Lipinets is a Kazakh guy who has a lot of experience, has been in with some top dudes. I like that fight a lot, man. That might be my favorite damn fight, non-pay-per-view on this schedule.
That one and the Donaire one.
Yeah.
Those are both great.
Those are
I can't wait for Donaire Obawi.
Yeah, dude, that's a great fight for diehards. That's like diehard dream matchup, not dream matchup, but just a good solid fight right there.
Yeah. Nobody doesn't like Nonito, man. Everybody likes Nonito. Nonito's a king.
Nonito's awesome, man.
Actually, I think the Nonito who lost to, to me, plain as day, the Nonito who lost to Inoue was a more complete and fighter with a higher ring IQ than the dude who iced Darth Vader and the dude who got picked apart by Rigo. And I'm curious, was that his last hurrah? I mean, I don't remember him being a master with a straight right or anything like that, but he sure was throwing that right real good. And he didn't try to depend on his left like it was his Hail Mary. I mean, the dude really showed us something that I hadn't seen out of this guy before. So is that his last hurrah, or is this like an Indian summer for this dude?
We'll find out. I think the thing with Inoue is everybody was slobbing all over him, and I like Naoya Inoue. Trust me, I like him a lot, but he hadn't fought anybody, man. So this was a huge step up in opposition for him. And I think that
wait. Inoue didn't fight anybody?
Not with the
first fight up 2 weight classes. He wasted Omar Narvaez, who'd only lost once to a prime Donaire and who was the king of 115. He beat who did he just beat? The 1-punch, the 1-2 KO on Payano. Oh my God!
Right, but
I think
Donaire
off the chain.
Donaire had been fighting at heavier weight classes. Donaire is more experienced and an overall better fighter than any of those guys. He had been fighting with guys who could punch harder, and I just think he brought a certain level of experience and craft that Inoue had not faced yet in that big of a fight. And I'm not saying that he hadn't. Okay, so I should rephrase it. It's not that he hadn't fought anybody. He hadn't fought anybody at the level of Nonito Donaire. And you talked about the right hand. I think Donaire saw something. And, he had some success at times. But, yeah, I do wonder, was that his last hurrah? Can Ubali look really, really good in his fight against Donaire? The only thing with Ubali is he's not nearly as explosive or powerful as Inoue. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a different style matchup.
He's very steady Eddie, though.
Yeah.
I saw Ubali outwork and get stronger against Rashay Warren, who kind of wilted and petered out. Ubali seemed to stay in a very powerful cruise control.
Yeah.
And maintained, he maintained top form. I think the entire fight, it looked like to me.
He's a strong guy. Strong guy.
Yeah.
You got to tip your hat to these little guys. Me and Mark, this is another thing me and Mark talk about all the time. You got to tip your hat to these little guys, the Chocolatitos and Nonitos and always these guys, because they'll get in there with anybody. They don't give a shit. They're down to bang, bro, and they're not always running around here. And here we're always praising the welterweights and the heavyweights, and they're not even fighting each other. They're running around here playing grab ass Twitter war. Meanwhile, having Twitter war. Meanwhile, these little guys will get in there with whoever, whenever, wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, man.
It's kind of like
a murderer's row.
It's kind of like the lineman in football. Like, you've got to really do some extraordinary shit to get your props. That's how I see the little weight classes in boxing, like the lineman in football.
You know, it's still ridiculous to me that Chocolatito's a hype job. That people say that man's a hype job. It's ridiculous.
It's the dumbest thing ever, man. I remember I saw some video. This goes back a couple years, but somebody forwarded me a video where I had Chocolatito #1 pound for pound on my pound for pound list, and I had Andre Ward #2. And somebody put out a video saying that I was racist because I had Chocolatito #1 and Andre Ward #2. I don't know how the hell that makes any sense because I share, more commonality with Andre Ward ethnically than Chocolatito. But, it's just, dude, these people are nuts. And you got to understand, though, Mark, a lot of these assholes on YouTube and everything, they didn't see Chocolatito until he fought on HBO. They didn't see him fight Estrada. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. I saw that fight because I was in L.A. That was his first fight in California. And I knew right then and there. I still think that's one of the best wins of that decade. I really, really, like pound for pound, that's one of the best wins of that decade because I think very highly of Estrada. And for a lot of these guys, they don't even know who these dudes are, man. They have no idea.
Yeah, they don't. They don't know who. No names. Yeah, no names mentioned. The one was called Chocolatito got beat by Pacquiao's cousin. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Come on.
They're just exposing their idiocy.
Like I remember when I. Go ahead, bro.
No, I don't see Gans winning that Estrada rematch. By the way, don't see it.
Can I say something just to Chocolate? Can I say something on that fight? Chocolatito's had a fight more recently, so if they fight next, also remember that Estrada is coming off of an injury and surgery.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can't count that out. I wasn't thinking about that. But it just seems to me that in general, Gans' last performance against, Gans had a hell of a moment against Yafai. I sure didn't expect that. And then people said, well, you know what? Well, why was Yafai standing and trading and not boxing? Well, when Yafai started to stick and move, Gans just hunted him down like he was game. And that would have happened if the fight would have done it earlier. Gans looked like freaking he looked like Golovkin in that fight, kind of. Like he had seek and destroy. He looked like it was like seek and destroy or something, man. At 5'2" or whatever.
He smelled blood, man.
I think
He smelled blood.
Yeah. It was something else. I sure didn't expect that. I thought he'd do pretty good, but I didn't think he'd do that. But it seems to me, in general, Gans peaked a good while ago, and Estrada has steadily gotten better since they fought.
No, I agree with that. I think Estrada has more gas left in the tank. Guys, real quick, I have to get to a super chat from John Uden. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. He says, if he hadn't given the Angulo fight away, do you think Anthony Sims would be getting a crack at Benavidez, or would he be seen as too risky? I don't know. I think he'd probably get the crack at Benavidez, because who else would Benavidez fight right now? I mean, what do you guys think? I think that, man, Sims really did blow it, though. Do you remember that? When was that fight? I got to look that up now. It's all blended together for me, man.
I forgot about that.
But, man, he was supposed to win that fight, and there was, a lot of excitement around him, and he just completely laid a fucking egg. God damn, that was this year, man. That was, I thought so, January 30. So, I don't know, man. If Sims came out and blew Angulo away, it's possible that he wouldn't get that fight with Benavidez. But I think he never had that power. Actually, I'm looking, though. He has 18 knockouts and 20 wins. But his power came against lesser opposition. I don't know. I think that maybe he would get that Benavidez fight. And I would love that matchup. But thanks for the super chat, John. I want to ask you guys, we need to talk about, we got fights tonight, man. Virgil Ortiz fighting Sammy Vargas. A lot of people were shitting on this matchup. I think it's a good matchup. I mean, all things considered where we're at, I think this is a good fight for Virgil Ortiz Jr. What do you guys think?
Not bad, but it's not a step up. And I think that's probably why people are disappointed.
Yeah, I hear you, but who could he fight right now?
Blair Cobbs.
Blair Cobbs. Shit. If he fought Blair Cobbs, people would be hating on that shit too. It would be fun though.
Blair it's kind of like between between gatekeepers and champs, between the gatekeepers that are not as good as the ones he's already beaten, and the top five. I don't see anyone he can fight. Am I wrong in that?
Politically, there's issues there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but people forget, man. Like Virgil Ortiz, he's got 15 fights. I'm just checking. He's 22 years old. So, I look at him as a contender already. I think he's past the prospect phase, but he's still young. He's still developing. In Vargas, I'm just looking at his resume here. He's been in against Spence, Danny Garcia, Ali Funeka, Amir Khan, Luis Colazzo. So he's been in there against a lot of good fighters. And yes, he loses when he steps up. He's been stopped twice. But for Ortiz, would you rather him not fight right now? This is his first fight of 2020. If he beats Vargas and looks great doing it, and then he steps up and fights a top 10 guy later this year, like October, November, that's solid, man. I can live with that. I don't know why people are shitting on this.
Yeah.
At first, period.
At first, I was like, oh, this fight don't do nothing for me. But the kid's young. Let him get in there. That, like you say, Sam Vargas has been in there with a lot of people. Let the kid stay active and get in there and have and stay busy. Stay busy. Fight against a guy who's been in there with some names. So that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Again, I don't love the fight. I'm not like, I don't have a hard on over here, but it's a good fight Friday night for what it is, and let's see how he looks. If Ortiz blows this guy out, actually, let me pull up his record here. Let me see. I want to see, because I know Vargas has been stopped, but I want, what rounds? So Danny Garcia knocked him out in the 7th. Spence blew him out in 4 rounds. Okay. So
I was gonna say Spence is 4 or 5, I remember. Yeah.
That was at Barclays. So if Vargas goes more than 4 or 5 rounds, then people are gonna start making comparisons between Ortiz and Spence, whether that's fair or not. So there is some pressure on Ortiz to get that blowout kind of win tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I expect it, don't you guys?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he'll get him out of there. What round, I couldn't tell you, but I think he'll get him out of there.
I don't think it
Yeah,
goes
I don't
6.
think it's just the power. I think it's the in-ring. His in-ring maturity is way above his age. You know?
Yeah, and he's got that boxer mentality, man. I think that he just gets it. I talked to him last year for a piece I did in Ring, and Doug Fisher told me after this fight tonight to do another piece on Virgil. So I'll be talking to him probably in the next week or two to do another piece for the magazine. And when I talked to him, man, he just seemed like, man, when I was 21, 22 years old, I was a fucking moron. And I'm still half a moron. And he just seems to have it together, man. So I just, there's a real future there. And Oscar De La Hoya needs to do better by Virgil Ortiz and treat him better, because I think he could be the future of that company, man, for Golden Boy.
Well, as soon as Ryan Garcia had his little hissy fit, he bumped Ortiz right up there. So hey, I guess not bad.
I tell you how I feel about Ryan Garcia, but this is the first time I'm on Mike's show, and I'm not gonna. Yeah,
Well, we're glad to have you on, Paisan. We're glad to have you on, man.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
Well, shit, man. I think we hit everything, guys. Is there anything else we need to discuss, or can we get the weekend started? I think we hit every subject, man.
Yeah, let's get the weekend started. Well, thanks for having me on, Mike. It's long overdue. I'll be calling in more often, buddy, all right?
All right, brother.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you for the excellent program. Keep up the great work, y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling in, guys. Have a good weekend. And let me see. Let me drop you guys off here. And then everyone watching on YouTube, I appreciate all the super chats today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. We had a bunch of different callers on, and we were kind of talking over each other. Hopefully that wasn't too annoying. But let's see. I'm 2 beers in. It's 6:00 p.m. So me and the lady are probably going to go out to eat, have a few more cocktails, watch this fight card later on DAZN. Just remember, Monday over at Ring, it's Ring Digital on YouTube, okay? And then the site is ringtv.com. Make sure you guys check out the show TNC Monday, and then the recap on ringtv.com, all right? Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you at the fights.